what's up and welcome to Interpreting the Scares, where today we finish out our reviews of the Candyman franchise with the latest installment just released, and this one is called, simply, Candyman. An artist looking to revamp his style begins research on the dark history of Cabini Green and the urban legend of Candyman. But when something dark can be seen committing atrocities in the mirror, and the artist begins to see a transformation in himself, the price for his artistic expression may have gone a bit too far. So, I was lucky enough to check out this film as scheduled. When I heard that this movie was released exclusively to movie theaters, I was pretty sure I wasn't going to be able to watch it until at least November, but thankfully, it was one of those short release windows and it came to digital mid-September instead. So I was able to include this in Interpreting the Scares. So that's good, but what did I think about it? Honestly, I have some mixed emotions on it, and I feel like this should be a spoiler review just because there's so many things going on in the movie that could be surprises. I went in completely blind, so I'm not even sure what the trailers say, but this film certainly did not follow the same structure as the last three movies, and I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, in one aspect, the second and third film kind of sucked because they were all basically uninspired remakes of the first. Nothing more, and certainly nothing original. This film is original, as what they did was kind of ignore the second and third film altogether and make a direct sequel, like they did in the Halloween series. And so what they did was essentially take the legend of Candyman and tweak it. I don't want to say exactly how it changed, but I both respected the film for its originality and was disappointed in the change of structure. We'll just say this. The reason that you watch this series, in general, isn't really for the legend of Candyman. It's for Tony Todd. And while he's sort of in it, he's certainly not a focus. So don't go into the movie expecting to see him or hear his prophetic way of speaking. You might be disappointed. There's much more focus on the legend itself than Tony Todd. To me, that's kind of like it's ripping the soul out of a series. I mean, if it was a remake, it wouldn't really matter that much, like in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake where they recast Freddy. I didn't mind that all so much because it was a remake, and you kind of expect these kind of changes and these recasts and all that. This is a continuation of the story and a direct sequel to the first. You do expect to see a ton of Tony Todd. I will say this though, the way they focused on mirrors and reflections in the movie was so much better than it ever was in the past, where all these crazy murders happening can only be seen in full in a mirror. But in person, these people are being attacked by what appears to be an invisible force. I loved that. That was some really amazing editing skills, because even the original film made the note that Candyman's soul basically lives in the mirror dimension, but he always leaves it anyways to attack people. I love that in this, he cannot escape the mirror, and basically, he can only attack you if you're in shot of a reflection yourself. That's amazing. Also, with Jordan Peele being a part of the production here, you can pretty much guess that somewhere in the film lies a message about race. And it's there. And that's a part of the originality that I cannot spoil. But I definitely respected it, even if it did water down the effectiveness of Tony Todd's role as the iconic horror villain specifically. I don't think that he's as iconic as he was before. Instead, I feel like the urban legend part has taken over for being the iconic thing. Again, I don't personally know how I feel about that because I love Tony Todd, and he, again, was the reason that I watched those films. I wanted to hear him talk, to talk in that prophetic way.
Be my victim.
So good. Anyway, overall, I liked the film, and I found it to be really well done overall. If this was my first and only introduction to the Candyman franchise, I would have probably loved it. But as a continuation to the first film, I'm more at a loss. I'm more at a spot that I don't know what to think. So instead, let's just, go ahead and talk about my final score. From a technical, unbiased perspective, this film was made well. I like the creepy stuff going on in what can only be described as the mirror dimension, and I respected the originality of the thing. I also think the editing was well done, and the message on race is pretty great. But there's also a lot of areas in the film that just seem to be business as usual. The utilization of these characters all kind of blend in together for me. So this score is 68%. My bias score is a little bit higher because, again, in general, It's a fun, well-made film that if it was the only Candyman film I'd ever seen, it wouldn't be that bad at all. But based on expectations of what you want to see from Candyman from a bare minimum, I don't think that this really meets that. So, it's entertaining, but not crazy great. 76%. When we combine the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 72%. 72 out of 100 possible stars, or a B- letter grade. And interestingly enough, that's the same exact score and grade I gave Candyman 2. I do think that this movie is better than that overall because it's more entertaining, but I did expect more out of this movie at the end of the day. Now, guys, have you seen the newest Candyman film? And if you have, tell me your thoughts about it in the comments down below and how you compare it to the other films. As for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come up with my next review. And until then, peace out!
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert. He is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie.